What's going on, everybody? Have you ever wondered why you are absolutely busting your butt trying to maximize your baseball career and you don't seem to be getting anywhere? So, today I'm going to be talking to you a little bit about three mistakes that you are currently making in your baseball development process that are keeping you average. So, when we talk about the baseball development process, obviously there is a ton of failure in the game of baseball. And in order for you to maximize your career and in order for you to maximize your potential in the game, it doesn't just come down to athletic ability, good mechanics, and any physical attributes or genetics that you are born with. So when we see Major League Baseball players at the top performing consistently, remaining healthy, being able to handle failure, yes, some of those guys are obviously the best in the world at what they do. But also, what they are able to do behind the scenes is they are able to make adjustments. They are able to have the right mindset and the right mentality. They are able to prepare the right way behind the scenes. They know what they need to do in order to be ready. They have the confidence to do so, and they know their role and they maximize it. So when you are trying to put up the best season possible, whether you are a youth baseball player, whether you're in high school, whether you're in college, Division One, D2, D3, NAIA, JUCO, or you're in the professional ranks, there are some things that you need to do and that you need to be aware of in order to maximize your career. So first and foremost, the mistake that most baseball players are making in their pursuit of maximizing their baseball development process is they have the wrong mentality. So, like I just said, there is a ton of failure that is wrapped up in having a 300 season, in having a season where you put up a 3 ERA or a 2 ERA. There's still a ton of failure that is tied around that. You still have to fail 7 times out of 10 in order to hit 300. So, you prolong that over the course of a season and you are still failing a lot of times. So, in order for us to maximize our baseball development process, in order for us to maximize our career, and in order for us to stop making mistakes around the baseball development process, we have to have the right mindset and the right mentality so we can maximize our ability on the field. So, first and foremost, what does that look like? That looks like understanding right off the bat that the game does not owe you anything. So, in order for you to maximize your baseball development process and to get as far as humanly possible in the game of baseball, you need to take what's yours. So, this game of baseball is not going to hand you anything. You are not just going to hit 300 because you are a good person or because you're a good teammate. Man, all that stuff is great. But in order for you to handle failure, in order for you to have confidence in your ability, overcome any type of adversity, you have to have the right mindset. You have to have the right mentality when it comes to playing the game. So failure, like I just said, 7 times out of 10, you hit 300, you're a millionaire if you're able to do that consistently year after year. So in order to not get caught up in the failure and in order to maximize your baseball development process, your baseball career, you need to focus on the controllables. So once the ball leaves our bat as baseball players, we have no control over if it is a hit, if it's an out, if it's a ground ball double play, if it's a fielder's choice, if it's an error. All that stuff is out of our control. Right off the bat, we need to understand that we can only control so much. Let's not get so caught up in the results, right? Let's get caught up in the process. So we need to focus on the controllables. What are the controllables then if we can't control whether it's a hit, an out, a fielder's choice error, all that good stuff? Well, our preparation. Are we getting our work in that we know we need to get in prior to first pitch at 7:05? Do we have the right self-talk? Are we confident? Are we thinking the right things? Are we giving ourselves a chance to let our athletic ability come out when we are competing? Think about what's the fastest pitch that you've ever seen. So for me, the fastest pitch that I've ever faced was 102 miles an hour. I had gotten a hit off of Hunter Green, cold off the bench. This is a flamethrower. He was in the red system. This was before he debuted in the big leagues. Obviously, like he's a mainstay up there now, but I had faced 100, 101, 102 from this guy, and I was able to get a base hit on that at bat cold off the bench because I was not worried about my mechanics. I wasn't worried about being on time. I wasn't worried about, okay, my back shoulder needs to get here. My elbow needs to get in the slot. I need to make sure I'm doing this with my toe tap. Or wait, is this a leg kick today? Like, what are we doing? I wasn't thinking about any of that. I had the right mindset. I had the right self-talk. I just went up there with a clear mind. It was seed ball. It was hit ball. Get ready for a 102-mile-an-hour fastball, and that gave me a chance, right? So we need to deal with failure by being process oriented, controlling what we can control, not getting too caught up in the results. Because if you do so over and over and over again over the course of 140 games, 162 games, or if you're a college baseball player, a 50, 60 game schedule, man, you've got no chance. You have absolutely no chance. Focus on the controllables. Make sure you're getting your work in before the game starts. That's redundant. We all hear that, but it's so true. You know your swing. You know what you're capable of. You also know what your weaknesses are. So I've had some people on the podcast that have had longer, more lucrative, successful careers than me, and they come in and they talk about what I am working on today pregame is what I was struggling with last night. So if I was struggling with staying through the ball last night or staying through the ball last series, my early work today, my pregame work is going to be focused on staying along through the baseball, staying inside the baseball, maybe driving that ball up the middle, oppo, whatever you're thinking, right? Only you know, and your hitting coach, right? Your coaches know what you need to do. You need to make sure you're getting your proper work in before the game. We know that. Self-talk's important. You have to have a clear mind. You have to have an idea that you can do what you're trying to do, right? Confidence. You have to have confidence. This ties into the mentality. This ties into the mindset to maximize your baseball development process, your baseball career. You have to have confidence. How do we get confidence, man? Hard work you put in behind the scenes, knowing that I was up before you and I was putting in more work on the field than you. I was putting in more reps in the cage than you. I was working harder in the offseason than you is going to give me confidence when it's time for me to go up against you. That's pretty easy, man. Right off the bat, hard work can get you confidence. If you are grinding your ass off in the cage, working on a specific mechanic, a specific delivery, a specific, movement, you can have confidence in your ability to pull it off when it's go time, when you are in the heat of the moment based off of the hard work that you put in. Why would you be second guessing yourself if you just put in a 12-hour workday in the cage, working on staying through the ball, driving it to left center or right center, and hitting backspin? I would not be very skeptical on my ability to pull off that mechanic if I've been grinding behind the scenes, right? So confidence, hard work, stacking W's. So as I alluded to previously, you know what kind of work you need to be putting in. You shouldn't have to have anybody basically tell you what work you need to be putting in. A lot of these players that are plateauing in their career, they can't continuously like incrementally chip away and move up the ladder, man. They need to be told what to do. They need to have a program written out for them. They need to be told what they need to be working on in the cage. They need to be told what time to show up. They need to be told to get in the weight room. They need to be told to do early bunting, do outfield work, right? Do pitching work. Man, you know what you need to do. So when we talk about stacking W's, stacking wins, whether it is incremental wins, small wins, or big wins, you're going to gain confidence if you start stacking little wins. So let's say you have a 7 o'clock game last night. You wake up this morning and you know you need to go get a workout in. You're tired. You might be dragging a little bit. You got some cuts on your knees. You got some boo-boos. You're sliding in the dirt and stuff. You got some scrapes and burns and stuff. Man, there's no reason why you shouldn't be at the gym. You know you need to be at the gym, even if you don't want to. I hated working out in my career. I still hate working out, going to the gym, man. It stinks. I hate it. It sucks, right? You break your body down. You feel better in the long run. You're not necessarily seeing any type of progress right off the bat in the gym, but knowing that you have to be there and going and knocking it out, putting in a full effort is a win. You stack that win by going on to the next thing and knocking out the next deliverable or the next thing that you need to be doing in your career. If you know I need to be getting to the field early and getting in the cage, doing my one-hand short bat off the tee, doing flips. I'll get the third base coach, first base coach, one of the assistant coaches in here to feed the machine if I need to get bunts down. Showing up to the field sucks too, right? Of course, I'd rather be sleeping. I get it, man. I get it. But if you know you need to get in there and you need to refine your skill and put in more volume and time, and you do it and you show up, you put forth a good effort and you get better, that's a win. So you just did something you didn't want to do in the weight room, stack it, you won. You get to the field early, take care of your stuff. You stack those wins, man. You stack enough little wins on top of each other over and over and over again, man. You win the day, you win the series, you win the week, and before you know it, man, you win the season, right? So when we talk about confidence, man, hard work, you know what you need to do. A lot of players plateau. They make the mistake of not understanding what they need to do. They need other people to tell them that, man. No one's going to hold your hand in the big leagues through 162 games. No one's going to hold your hand while you are, trying to get to Omaha in Division One baseball. You need to have an understand of what you need, what you're lacking, what you're capable of. That's how you're going to build confidence, man. Stack W's, work hard, and if you have no idea what you're doing, if you don't have that confidence to keep going, you learn from teammates, man. Obviously, there are different types of leaders. The best player on the team is going to be a physical leader. There are going to be locker room type leaders that can mesh everybody together. Those guys are confident. If you don't have confidence, if you feel like you have no idea what a confident baseball player looks like, shadow one of those players that you know has confidence. See how they go about their business, see how they work, see how they interact with their teammates, see how they carry themselves, man. That's something that I needed to implement early in my career in order to remain confident through all of the little speed bumps and adversities that you are going to go through. Belief in thinking positive, man. So we've always heard that thinking positive can lead to extremely good benefits, extremely good outcomes. But it's like, man, how can I think positive and it really affect the outcome on whether I have a good game, a bad game, a good season, hit 300, man? I'm not saying that having a good mindset and thinking positively can make you hit 300, but check this out. So your thoughts, what you're thinking, what you think you're capable of, what you think you can do going up to the plate, that affects your attitude, right? So the thoughts you think affects your attitude affects your effort. If you have a shitty attitude, you're going to put forth a shitty effort. Your effort influences and directly impacts your outcome. So if you're going to go about trying to hit a 102-mile-an-hour fastball with a poor effort, a poor attitude, and poor thoughts, man, you can probably guess that you're going to have a poor outcome, man. So your thoughts impact your attitude impacts your effort impacts your outcome. So when we strip it down, your thoughts have a direct impact on your outcome. It's You break it down like that, it makes sense. Obviously, it took me having to look back on my career when it was done to be able to put that in perspective. But your thoughts, whether they're good or bad, have a direct impact on your outcome, whether you are conscious of it or not. So that's another big mistake that baseball players make in their career that holds them back. It keeps you average. Failure, not being able to deal with it, not having confidence, not thinking positive, that all keeps you average, right? And especially with failing 7 times out of 10, so much failure wrapped around in the game, it is easy to lose this stuff, right? Trying to make sure you guys are conscious of this. Number two, another mistake that us as baseball players, you guys are making is your preparation. So obviously, your coaches shouldn't have to tell you what you need to be doing day in and day out. You should have an idea of what you need. You should have an idea of what your body needs to be healthy. You should have an idea of what you need to do mechanically, physically, mentally in order to put forth the best product at first pitch at 7:05 p.m. So your preparation, basically what you put in is what you get out of this game. So a lot of times when we see average baseball players, it is directly correlated. I can point at that guy who is an average baseball player and say, "Hey, that guy does not bust his ass behind the scenes. He is a direct product of the work that he is putting in behind the scenes." If I see a average baseball player, below average baseball player, of course, you only are born with so much talent and ability. But whatever you put into the game, you get out of the game, right? So if you are grinding behind the scenes, taking care of the stuff you need to be taken care of, working hard, preparing, stacking W's, having confidence, talking to yourself in a positive manner, you will more likely than not have a positive outcome. So preparation's great. If we are not preparing for the game the right way, we are leaving it up to luck. Anybody can get lucky on a pitch. Anybody can get lucky in an AB. Anybody can get lucky in a game, right? You can have an absolute zero clue, but if you're on time, even if you didn't prepare, you can get lucky during a game. You cannot, however, get lucky over the course of a full season, over the course of a 30-game season, a 50-game season, a 162-game season. You can't get lucky and hit 300. You can't get lucky and make an all-star team. You can't get lucky and make it to the big leagues, man. That's not how that happens. A lot of times we see average baseball players remain average and plateau in their career because of the preparation they're putting in behind the scenes or the lack thereof behind the scenes. They're not getting after it. Routine and discipline. So you are not the exception. We've talked about it before in the 9-hole newsletter. Check it out. It's great. Goes out. It's free every Saturday. It dives into specific concepts that are related to the baseball development process at a deeper level. We were just talking about this the last week or two. You are not the exception. You aren't. I don't care. I made it to the big leagues. I was a walk-on, Division I walk-on. Did not have a scholarship. I made it to the big leagues. I was not the exception. So I needed to outwork everybody. If there are 2 spots in a Division I roster, right? So we just saw in the news that NCAA is what's that word? They're maximizing their broadening like the amount of scholarships that Division I schools are able to offer to 34. So if there are 34 roster spots, baseball schools now have the ability to offer 34 scholarships to the 34 players. However, that does not mean that Wagner College, where I went, or excuse me, Marist baseball, or the University of Pennsylvania is going to be able to offer 34 athletic scholarships. The athletic department, the athletic director, the front office of each athletic department still needs to be able to fully fund that, and they have to approve it. It's just the NCAA is allowing them to offer up there. They still have to come up with the money. They still have to be able to take it out of the individual program budgets. I don't necessarily know how that's going to impact the smaller programs. I don't think that's necessarily going to make smaller Northeast baseball schools and smaller mid-level, mid-tier, lower level Division I baseball schools more competitive, but that is really something. So let's say there's 1 spot left on this team and it's me versus you. And we're there's only 1 spot. There's 2 of us. We run the same 60-yard dash. We have the same hitting ability. We're the same type of person. So how are we going to differentiate each other? How am I going to get that spot over you? Man, it comes down to having routine and discipline. It comes down to routine and discipline, being able to stay with the process, stay with the things day in and day out, and do the shit that you don't necessarily want to do, but you have to do, right? If you know that you need to be in the weight room 3 or 4 days a week, if you know you need to be hitting early 4 or 5 days a week, if you know you should be taking infield, outfield from right field and working on your one-hop throws to third base, man, if you do the stuff that you should be doing right now than later, you'll be able to do the stuff that you want to be doing, right? So you develop the skill, you put in the time, you put in the discipline. Volume times time equals skill. We talked about it a whole bunch here on the 9-hole. We see Paul Skeens. That guy's got tree trunks for legs. He's 6'6". He throws 102 miles an hour. That guy works out. He went to Air Force, right? That guy was going to be in the military. We see his discipline. We see his preparation before he goes out and takes the mound. This guy's an absolute animal. He gets after it. We see the work ethic. We see the discipline routine behind the scenes. And this guy has like waists. He's got legs the size of my waist, dude. And he's still putting in that work. That's how talented dudes like that are. And they're putting in that type of work. So if you want to be able to develop and compete, you want to be able to develop your skill and compete with a dude like Paul Skeens, you have to put in the same amount of work as him. You have to, man. Year after year, game after game, day after day, you have to. And if you're not 6'6", and you don't have tree trunk legs, and you don't throw 102 miles an hour, and you don't have the genetics of a freak like Michael Jordan or Kobe or Paul Skeens, then you have to work even harder than those dudes, man. You aren't the exception. You are not the exception. In order for me to do that, I've talked about it a bunch on here. Jamie Moyer told me about keeping a notebook. tracking the certain pitches that certain pitchers and teams got me out with, being able to jot down these game logs, seeing what got me out in what situation. Was it a slider low and away in a 2-0 count? Am I swinging at off speed pitches in hitters counts? Am I offering it fastballs up in 0-2 counts? Like, what's my kryptonite? I'm able to realize patterns. I'm able to realize holes in my swing, in my approach. I'm able to realize these patterns that these pitchers, these pitching coaches, these teams are attacking me with and trying to get me out with. Dude, the more knowledge and the more, prepared I can be for the pitch that's coming, the better chance I have of getting a hit. Think about how hard hitting a fastball is. Think about how hard getting a hit is in any league, man. It's not easy. So having the most data possible, having an idea of what's going to be coming based on what you've been doing in the past gives you the best chance for success, man. Give yourself a chance. Prepare, have the right mentality, right? So those are the two things that we talked about on why you are remaining average, why you are absolutely busting your ass and you can't seem to progress through the baseball development ladder. So we see guys plateau all the time because they don't have the right mentality. They don't have the maximizing mindset. They are mental midgets. They can't deal with failure. They do not have confidence. They don't think positive, and they don't prepare the right way. They need to be told what to do. They need to have a plan built for them. They know what they are capable of in their swing. They just need to be told what to do. They need to be told to show up early. They need to be told to get after it in the cage, man. Those are the top two things that we see, that I've seen in my almost decade-long professional baseball career, on why players remain average and they can't seem to progress. We got one more. I need a drink of water. Number 3. So the reason why, the mistake that these baseball players are making, that you guys are making, and why you are remaining average, you're not maximizing your career, is because you don't know your role. This is something that I dealt with. I can say it now. I can look back on my career and be like, dude, what was I doing trying to hit 10 home runs, 15, 20 home runs? What was I doing trying to drive the ball out of the ballpark? Right? I got seen. We talked about it. We had a couple clips here at the 9-hole go viral about small ball, about bunts, about stealing bases, right? We talk about how to steal second, steal third. If you haven't seen it, check it out. Most recent videos, man. But knowing your role and being able to maximize it is so crucial to your development, is so crucial to you maximizing your career. If there is one spot on a Division I baseball team, or if there's one spot in the draft that there's one spot left, who's it going to go to, man? It's going to go to the player that knows what type of player he is and is going to put forth the best effort in maximizing his ability around his game. So the years that I struggled on the field over the course of a full season were the years that I would lose myself trying to play baseball like somebody else. So in high school, man, I'm trying to get seen. I'm a little pipsqueak, dude. I got big boppers on these teams that are able to drive the ball out of the ballpark in BP, in games. These guys are grown men with facial hair, right? I'm 15, 16, 17 years old, just trying to get a scholarship, just trying to get a spot on a Division I baseball team, and I'm worried about what these guys are doing. These guys are able to drive the ball out of the ballpark. I can run a 6'2", 6'3", 60. That's fast as shit. And I'm worried about trying to hit home runs with those guys, right? When we try to play the game like somebody else or be like somebody else, that makes the game 10 times harder. So being able to know your role, being able to know your strengths, maximize it day in and day out, and play on your strengths, play your game of baseball, makes the game a little bit easier, right? If we go 3 for 10, we're hitting 300, we're an all-star, we're able to do that like year after year after year. We move on, we're able to get drafted, we're able to maybe get a scholarship, we're able to maybe make some money in baseball, right? But if we go 3 for 10 consistently, decade after decade, season after season, year after year, we're still failing 7 times out of 10. Hitting a baseball is hard. Not knowing what's coming is even harder, right? So we just talked about preparation. But if you are trying to play somebody else's game, if you're trying to emulate somebody else's strengths and not play to your strengths, man, you are going to remain average. I see so many baseball players do this. I was a walk-on that made it to the big leagues. I did this myself, right? I considered myself better than a lot of my teammates year after year, and I still struggled with this. I'd see these guys having success and be like, hey, this guy's got 30 or 40 doubles. What's he doing? What's he doing? I don't have 30 or 40 doubles, but like I'm a defensive guy. I'm a stolen base threat. There's no reason why I should be trying to hit 30 or 40 doubles. Know your game, maximize your ability, know your strengths, right? Your coaches know your strengths, you know your strengths. You need to have an understanding of what you need, what your holes are, and you need to attack that pregame. So know your role, maximize it. When you are taking care of your business and you are maximizing your role, whether you are a defensive replacement, whether you're the fourth outfielder, the fifth infielder, right? You're the mop up guy, the setup man, whatever it is, man. If you maximize your role, that's when opportunities come. We can't worry about what happens once the ball leaves our bat. We're not going to get a hit. We can't influence if it's an error, if it's a hit, if it's a ground ball double play, if it's a fielder's choice. The only thing we can take care of is our preparation, our attitude, knowing our role, right? Have a good mindset there. Baseball's hard. Trying to play like somebody else, you got absolutely zero chance. Let's talk about, just to wrap it up. I appreciate everybody being here. I see you guys coming in here in the chat. It's big time. Let's talk about two specific players. One, retired, right? Jamie Moyer, who was throwing 80 to 85 miles an hour and made a career pitching into his late, 40s. I think he was like 49 when he stopped, but he's throwing, 80, 85 miles an hour. That guy is maximizing his career, prolonging it better than anybody else, and able to consistently put up these big numbers because he knows his strengths. He's not trying to be like a Paul Skeens, right? He's not trying to be like Pedro Martinez. He's not trying to be like Randy Johnson, his teammate. Imagine if Jamie Moyer was trying to throw and have the success and the velocity and the type of stuff that Randy Johnson had. Jamie Moyer he might not have been able to get out of the third. You know what I mean? Know your strengths, know your role, maximize your ability. That's the shit that you can handle. That's the stuff that you can prepare for and have an influence and direct impact on. And lastly, man, Luis Ariz. So this dude with the Padres hits 300 year after year, and it's mostly singles and doubles, right? Mostly singles. It's mostly low line drives up the middle, Oppo, and we see the preparation that he puts in the offseason. We see what his routine is. He's getting the tee up and in, and he is working on short and quick, hitting the ball over the shortstop, man. I got to share a locker room with him. I was up there in Target Field with the Minnesota Twins in 2019, and that guy was doing the same thing every single day. He went viral a whole bunch this offseason. His offseason routine, his program in the cage, there were a whole bunch of cameras everywhere highlighting his stuff. 4 or 5 years ago, he was doing the same stuff with no cameras surrounding him, being an everyday player when he was up there in the big leagues with Minnesota, doing that same stuff day in and day out. With today's draft, man, guys are getting taken left and right that can hit the ball out of the yard. I get it. Does Luis Ariz necessarily go in the first round or two today? I don't know. Man. Not sure. But knowing your ability, knowing your strengths, maximizing that stuff, not trying to play like somebody else, man, that is so key. It is so crucial to your success on the field and off the field and in maximizing your baseball development process. So just to recap, man, the 3 mistakes that we see you or baseball players making in their career that makes them remain average. They have the wrong mindset. They don't have a maximizing mentality. They are not preparing the right way. They're having to be told what to do as opposed to knowing what they need to be doing. And they don't know their role. They're playing like somebody else. They're not maximizing their abilities, and they're not focusing on their role and their strengths. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in here. The 9-Hole Podcast live on YouTube. We will be back again maybe tomorrow, maybe Thursday. Stay tuned, guys. Appreciate everybody. If you need help in your baseball career or maximizing your baseball development process, you're in the right spot. You're in the right spot here at the 9-Hole Podcast. Shoot me a note. Shoot me a message on the platform. Send me an email. It's in the bio. Take care, fellas. Thanks for tuning in.